Hey, movie fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Untitled Media Podcast. This is episode 152. We're now out of the spooky season. I've had my post-Halloween sadness. November 1st is always a sad day, especially when Spirit Halloween offers 25% off and not 50 anymore. And
weird.
What's the point of going? But hey, I went to Universal and got a whole bunch of 50% off Halloween Horror Nights merch instead. That's a much better option. So, since we're out of spooky season, we're back to your regularly scheduled movie content. And so today we're going to talk about dumb movies. Like, just the bottom of the barrel filmmaking wise. Just awful movies. But they're so bad that they loop back around to being good again, especially in large groups. So that's kind of what specifically we're focusing on, of like, you can enjoy this by yourself as a horrible experience, a fun horrible experience, but it's more fun as a communal effort to go, wow, how did this get made? That, which is another podcast. But Josh, before we get into all that, how you doing tonight?
I'm chilling, my dude. It's a day, man. I've been pretty busy as far as watching stuff, and dude, yeah, it's just been cool. I'm awaiting, because we record these on Tuesday nights, right? So I'm awaiting my Astros to pull a 3-game winning streak and to take the whole series. Yeah, and so it's gonna happen.
And the rest of the country is rooting for the Braves.
Legitimately, it is absolutely hilarious that, like, on every, like, poll that I've seen, the whole country is like, yeah, Braves, screw the Astros, which only makes me want the Astros to win even more, just to, elevate the villain status.
Oh, yeah. They're going to be head of the table if they win.
Oh, absolutely.
But you mentioned you've been busy watching stuff. What you been watching?
Okay. So, I finished the Harry Potter series with my dad.
Okay.
First of all, the back 3 are so good. Obviously better filmmaking wise and pace and all that. I rewatched Civil War for reasons. That was one of those, like, man, I wonder if it really is as bad as I remember it being. Guys, it is. But
says Josh.
But here's the thing. It's not bad because, how do I say this? It's not bad because the plot stuff doesn't make sense. It's bad because there's too much going on at the same time. You have 3 or 4 different plot lines all trying to happen at the same time, which I kind of understand because this is their opportunity to kind of, introduce some characters, but at the same time, it just
normally that's a DC problem.
Yeah, it has very much like a Phantom Menace vibe to it, where it's like, okay, who's the main character of this movie? Because it says Captain America Civil War, but Captain America is not really the main character in the movie. It's weird. Anyway, and then to round out spooky season, I watched Sinister and Origin of Evil, Ouija. Gosh, those are great movies. They're still as good as I remember them. They're so good. Let's see, and then I watched this is actually really frustrating. So I watched Born Identity and Supremacy.
Okay.
On HBO Max. Okay. For whatever reason, Ultimatum is not on HBO Max.
It's in the Voodoo.
But Legacy is. That's so weird.
Is Ultimatum on Peacock or something? That would be my guess.
Maybe, I guess.
Because those are Universal movies.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. But yeah, so I'm gonna find Ultimatum here in a bit and watch
in the Voodoo.
Finish out the series. I know it's in the everything's in the Voodoo.
Yes.
And then let's see. I finished book 2. I've been busy, man. I don't know why. I finished book 2 of the Witcher series. It's fine. The first one is. Here's the thing. The first one is very well done, and the pacing keeps you going. You're enjoying all of it. The second one, the pacing is super weird, and the Witcher ends up in a weird love triangle with Yennefer, and he has to kill people. It's just they start to try to have the discussion about who are the real monsters, the humans or the monsters themselves, now that they're becoming extinct, which is like, it's a very interesting discussion. But they literally, he like shoves it in the middle of the dragon story, and it kind of like doesn't, I don't know, it's odd. But I also finished book 2 of that comic book series, Middle West. And I wish I had bought the whole series now, because I'm like, I need to know. Like, it builds really, really well, and the art is just as good as I thought it was going to be, and the characters are way more lovable than I thought they were going to be. It's like to the point where, like, I want this to be a show, like ASAP. It's so good.
Since you're not getting your Redwall series.
Yeah, or my Magic Trade House, or whatever, you know. But yeah, I've been busy. I don't know why. Like, all of a sudden this week, past week, I was like, hey, let's just do everything.
Let's just do all the things.
All the things.
So I watched 2 things making up for my last week where I didn't watch anything. I saw Dune in theaters.
Oh, yeah.
I am so conflicted on Dune because, like, so many people, to be fair, all the people that I was talking to leading up to this movie are book fans. So they were going into it expecting to like it. And I like half of it. There's without saying too much, there's an event that happens about halfway through the story, 2/3 of the way through the story, maybe about at the 2-hour mark, I think. I really wasn't checking my clock. I was really digging everything up until that point, and then something major happens in the story, and the rest of the movie just kind of feels like it's chugging along to get to the finale, and then it just kind of ends. It's a very odd place to leave this as a movie. There's a whole lot of book fans that are going, see, this makes sense to us, though, because we've read the book, we know where this is leading, and this and that, and I'm going, as a movie, though, it's not a good place to end this story. Like, at least, say what you will about the Hobbit trilogy, but the ending of the second one was a phenomenal place to leave it, with the dragon escaping and Frodo, Bilbo just going, what have we done? That's a great cliffhanger. This, it just kind of ends. Like, and I was thinking this when I came out of the theater, of the big event thing that really shifts the narrative in a different direction, which I like the direction that it seems like the story's going. I am interested in the second one. That event that changes everything, that should have been the finale of the first movie, I think.
Interesting. Okay.
And without saying too much, the last 45 minutes, as someone that doesn't know the book or the material, it came across a lot like Harry Potter 7.1 when they're spending a lot of time in the woods. You're just like, can we kind of get to something else? Like, I get why this is here. This is important. But it felt like it was really being stretched out. It just was an odd place to leave it. That being said, I do want to see more of this. I think all the performances were fantastic. After seeing this, I understand why people want Timothée Chalamet as Robin in the Pattinson verse. I would absolutely be okay with it. Jason Momoa is freaking awesome as Duncan Idaho. I think he's my favorite character. Oscar Isaac is amazing. Everyone in this is outstanding. Cinematography is amazing. Like I said, I was really, really digging it until something major happens in the story, and then it just kind of lost me for the rest of it. I'm just going, you got to know when to clip it a little better. And a lot of people were telling me, like, yeah, you don't need to read the book to appreciate it. And you can follow it fine, but I think it would behoove you to read and know the material going into it as opposed to going blind. Like, you could still probably follow it, but I think you will appreciate it more if you know the material.
Yeah.
As a whole, it wasn't bad, but I won't be rushing out to watch it again, I don't think, anytime soon. But I will be checking out the sequel whenever that happens in 2023. But Josh clearly has a thought before I get into my other movie.
So my question to you here is, would you say, and I know how both of us feel about the whole HBO and Max and theater thing, would you say it was worth it to see it in the theater, or if you have a pretty decent setup at home, to just do that there?
See, I have not gone back and rewatched it on HBO Max at home to know. But it was rewarding to see it in a theater just because of the huge vistas and the landscapes. Like it looks gorgeous and it feels epic in scope to the point of I can understand completely why Denis Villeneuve wanted this to be a theater movie so much, because this is a theater going experience.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a movie you need to see in theaters. I just am not digging it as much as a lot of other people are, but I'm glad to see it's doing well, and I'm glad to see I was wrong about its box office, and it really over-delivered, and it continues to over-deliver. The other movie is one that I was just like, you know what, I'm going to finally bite the bullet on this, because I really like the franchise more than most, but I hated the first trailer, so I had zero expectations for The Forever Purge. I finally caved and watched it. And honestly, it's on par with the rest of the Purge movies.
Really? Okay.
I really actually didn't mind it nearly as much as I was expecting. It's a mixed bag, though. At times, I really liked it, and other times, it didn't feel like a Purge movie. This is a mild spoiler, but it's only a spoiler for those that are invested in the franchise. So this is supposed to take place after the third one. But the opening 5 minutes of the movie is literally them just retconning the end of the third one, just going, oh yeah, the NFFA are back in power and they reinstated the Purge. I'm just going, well, that's freaking lazy. I was invested in the idea of at the end of election year, the Purge is over, but what if there's some radicals out there that are continuing the Purge on their own? I think that's a much cooler idea than, hey, just kidding, we reinstated the NFFA. I'm just going, but the lady president won the election and she abolished it. So we're just going to kind of sweep election year under the rug.
Yeah.
And it does throw me off how much of this movie takes place during the day. Daylight, I think, is bizarre for this movie. It kind of gives it a made-for-TV look to it. And the Purge characters are never written particularly well, and they're very beat you over the head with politics that are not as subtle as I think they are. So this one deals a lot with immigration. So our main protagonists are a Hispanic couple who I actually really, really enjoy. It's a Hispanic couple and an American couple, with the man being Josh Lucas, who honestly, besides Frank Grillo, I think he might be one of my favorite characters in this entire franchise, because he comes into it not overtly racist, but he's got some friction between him and the Hispanic character. There is some racial tension there, but not as much as you would think. It's more of they both work for his dad, and so the Hispanic is a much better cowboy than him, and so it's kind of more like a bruised ego type of thing. But the progression of his character I really, really liked. The feeling of teamwork, it feels much more desperate, so they're basically trying to get across the Mexican border, so, subtle American politics there. But for me, who had, beyond zero expectations because I thought the trailers looked terrible, it was par for the course for a Purge movie. I think I might like it better than the first Purge, which I thought was very disappointing. But I'm glad I didn't see this in theaters. And I'm sure it'll be on Peacock soon enough, but I'll probably go out and buy this one and add it to my collection. The Forever Purge was actually significantly better than I was expecting. It's not the best in the franchise. That's probably still Purge Anarchy. I really like that one. But this is a pretty solid addition to the franchise. It's never once scary, but The Purge has never been scary to me. It's more of an action movie. They get some Native Americans in on the story as well, and they're pretty freaking awesome. Think Chief. His name's Chief from the first Wonder Woman. Kind of picture his level of awesomeness. And also, without spoiling too much, because I think Josh would like this, way more people survive this movie than I expected. Just going, okay, here's our main characters. You're probably going to die, you're probably going to die, you're probably going to die. And by the end of it, I'm going, oh, wow, way more people survived this than I was expecting, which is a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one.
That's fair. Well, that's good to know, though, because, you and I were, both of us saw the trailers and we're like, this doesn't feel at all like a Purge movie. So
it both doesn't. It's weird.
That's fair. So, at least it's a good thing. It's not as terrible as you thought it was. It's not one of those that was going to be super dumb and not fun. So
now let's get into some news, because we have some trailers to discuss. kicking us off for news this week is a trailer that has some people pissed off, but not for the right reasons, which I think is kind of funny. Sony's just like, oh, you want a new Marvel trailer? We got you, bro. Sure, Spider-Man comes out next month, but here, have this Morbius trailer for a movie coming out in January. And all the Spider-Man fans are going, you troll. So yes, we have a new Morbius trailer with Jared Leto as the living vampire that is Morbius. Josh and I don't remember your initial reactions, Josh, but we didn't mind the first trailer. It looked pretty good. Cool. I freaking love this trailer. Like, I don't normally say this about Sony movies. They're not bad CG, but credit to the CG artists on this. Like, from both his transformations when he's the vampire, look outstanding. But one of the coolest things I thought about the trailer, the few times that I've watched it now, is I really, really like how they're visually portraying his powers.
Yes.
Like, the echolocation looks awesome, but not even so much like he's got like the weird like Arkham City, like you press in on the left stick and you got the X-ray vision type of thing. But when they zoom in on his ear and it kind of like reverberating like the ear in a quiet place, I'm like, ooh, I like that. That looks cool. But obviously we got the main look of him as the vampire. I'm going, that's Morbius. Because the first trailer, just like, oh, it's just a drug addict with weird teeth. No, that's a living vampire. Now, my only hope left is, and I think they'll probably give it to us, I need the deep V-neck. I need the ridiculously deep V-neck with the red lapel chest piece. Maybe you could add the little fluttery cape, like the armpit cape, but I need the deep V-neck, because just from the face and when he's attacking people, I'm going, holy crap, that's Morbius. I've always liked the character of Morbius more than the character of Venom, actually. Even before I liked the Universal Monsters and Dracula and all of that, I've always thought Morbius was a much cooler design, a much more interesting character than Venom, who is, I would maintain, is more of an anti-hero. Like Venom, I've always seen as a villain, just straight up. I know he's been anti-hero in some stuff, but I've always seen Morbius as more of an anti-hero, like even straight up teaming with Spider-Man. I think this trailer really over-delivered for me. And that's not even taking into consideration all the very interesting but yet very confusing Spider-Man Easter eggs that I'm sure we'll delve into in a little bit here. But Josh, you are a known Jared Leto fan. What did you think of this Morbius trailer?
It's cool. It's so cool. Like, I think it really establishes him as more of an anti-hero in that he wants to do good. His base instinct is to do good, but because of what changes his body into healing him, but also has that other side, he's not sure if he can actually control it, because the other side is literally just animalistic and just terrifying. Like, so much cool stuff. I think the scene that kind of sells it for me in the trailer is when he, I forget the voiceover, but it pans and it shows him like in a closet or something, and like his face transforms out into like the living vampire, and he shakes it and it goes back in, and you can see like the fear in his eyes of like, oh no, that's not what I want. I can't do that right now. Like, oh, it's so cool. And then that line at the end of the trailer. I'm Venom. Just kidding, man. But Michael Morpheus, Dr. Michael Morpheus, that's your service. I was like, this guy. Like, I want to be his best friend, but like, also not, because he could kill me. But yeah, like it's a very good trailer. Like you said, the CGI is way better than I think we've seen, especially in a vampire movie. Like we haven't had like a vampire transformation since like the Van Helsing, Hugh Jackman days. So it's like, it's kind of refreshing and cool, and the way that they are visually telling us his powers is really, really cool as well.
Yeah, I think that last line of like I am Venom. And, just kidding. I'm Dr. Michael Morpheus at your service. I think that line only really works because it's Jared Leto, and no one ever knows if they can trust Jared Leto or not. Like, is this Suicide Squad? I'm gonna quote unquote prank my co-stars Jared Leto, or is this nice guy Jared Leto? Like I get the imbalance here. Yeah, the CG looks really good. Like the transformations look awesome. He looks terrifying. Now, let's get into the very, very confusing Spider-Man Easter eggs, because there's literally a Spider-Man Easter egg from every single generation of Spider-Man so far.
Yep.
Obviously, we have Michael Keaton returning in this trailer, to which, mark my words, Michael Keaton's just going to be at the very end of this movie. Like, Michael Keaton is going to be the end stinger for this. I don't think he's going to be a very big presence. But you've got him looking at a newspaper that says the Daily Bugle, but that's the Daily Bugle logo and the paper from the Sam Raimi era. Mm-hmm. But then we get that city shot of Oscorp, but that's the logo of Oscorp from the Amazing Spider-Man movies. And then they mention, you know, that weird thing in San Francisco. So that's clearly a reference to Venom. Let there be carnage, or just Venom in general. So either Sony is just merging all the Spider-Man universes into one now because of No Way Home, or they're just going, screw it, we're just going to reference everything, and it's a choose your own adventure story. I think really the big missing piece right now is No Way Home. Yeah. Because, again, Venom Let There Be Carnage had that sting of going, okay, this is going to clearly connect to Spider-Man somehow. This has all the Spider-Man references. So, like, I saw the Oscorp thing, I'm going, so this confirms Josh and I's theory that the Morbius and Venom universe takes place in the Andrew Garfield world. Well, you got Michael Keaton here, and you've got Sam Raimi's Spider-Man references, and in the last trailer, you had the Sam Raimi Spider-Man on the wall and the graffiti that says murderer. So I am very, very confused by this trailer as to, like, where this fit chronologically, and I'm worried that No Way Home is not going to answer these questions, and Sony's just going to go, you can't sue us. We made these movies.
Yeah, that's what I'm fair. And it's interesting that, like, when they do the little section in the trailer about, like, the studio that brought you these movies, they're like, brought you No Way Home, and I'm like, but that movie's not out yet. Wait, are you saying that?
No, it says Far From Home.
It does? Okay.
Yeah, it says Far From Home and Venom.
Okay. Well, then my whole confusion, it doesn't make sense. So, but, like, it's still, like, very odd, and a lot of, like, when while I am super down for this Morbius teaming, like, acting across from Michael Keaton's Vulture, that is also incredibly confusing canon-wise, so I don't know how. The only thing that could make this better is if those two were also in the same scene as William Dafoe's Green Goblin, and in which case, I don't know what to feel, because that's like peak Spider-Man right there for me. That's, like, I don't know what to do with that. Like you said, it's kind of confusing where this is story-wise, and I think it's very possible that they're putting all those references in order to try to keep you off the trail as far as what's going to happen in No Way Home. At least that's my hope.
Either that, or, like, the marketing team for Morbius and the marketing team for No Way Home are not on the same page. And the Morbius people are just like, yeah, we could show whatever. And the Spider-Man people are just going, no, that's not common knowledge yet. Which, quick side tangent about the Spider-Man thing. Until we actually get a new trailer, can we stop getting, like, oh, look at this newly released image, and it's still from that exact same bridge scene? Like, every new picture that's come out is that Spider-Man Doc Ock bridge scene. I'm just going, so the whole movie takes place on a bridge, basically?
Yeah, that's what we're hearing.
Or it could be an Endgame situation where all the trailers basically just show the first 5 minutes, basically.
I mean, that's not, like, that wouldn't be, like, terrible. I'd be pretty okay with that. Well, I think I said this last week. I'm just ready for this movie to come out so we can stop speculating and stop getting all the stupid crap. Like, at this particular moment, I think the vibe around No Way Home is going to take away my enjoyment of it, whether or not it's a good movie.
Yeah, I hope this. I'm glad this didn't get review bombed like some other Sony trailers lately. Now, a trailer that I was not expecting, but probably should have been just because this show is right around the corner, is the first trailer for the Book of Boba Fett. This dropped, I think, December, so next month. And I'm not going to lie, while this is not the best trailer of the year, it does get me very, very hyped, and it's also something different tonally than what I was expecting for this Boba Fett series, because when Boba Fett got introduced in Season 2 of The Mandalorian, he just immediately starts wrecking house. He's just destroying all the stormtroopers. It looks like he's got all this badass action, and this definitely is more low-key. Sure, we've still got some action here, but this definitely seems more, I'm ruling the underworld now, and I'm kind of all about it. The line that I'm just going, oh yes, is Jabba ran the underworld out of fear. I will run it with respect. And I'm just going, heck yeah. Now, my immediate thought, because it's my brain, and because I still think the ending of Mandalorian Season 2 is just the Iron Man of the greater Disney Plus Star Wars Cinematic Universe. As great as this trailer was, I'm thinking the whole time, okay, what's going to be the stinger at the end of the season? Because I'm sure there will be. Yeah. It's either, I would love it if either Boba Fett goes, there's still an open contract on that smuggler, and goes to basically find Han, or what I kind of hope even more so is the man that tried to kill me by throwing me in the pit is still out there. He won't get that same mistake again, and he goes to find Luke Skywalker. I could go for a Boba Fett Luke Skywalker rematch, because, you know, Boba going out like a chump and accidentally getting bumped into a pit to his death. Like, come on now. I
think what's really cool is the contrast between what last time we saw Boba to this. Apparently he's going to be in this show. In this show, is that, like, we know he can wreck house. And obviously, they're not going to, like, just not have him wreck house in this trailer, because there's times where he's, like, got those crazy eyes and he's, like, whacking the crap out of someone. So, obviously, it's still going to happen. But I like that we, as the audience, can go into this, like, basically a political thriller, and go, okay, he could go off at any moment. We know what he's actually capable of. And some of these people might not know what he's capable of. Kind of like that scene where he's like, well, well, what's to stop us from just killing you and taking everything? And Boba, like, there's definitely something that happens in between that moment and the line delivered by Boba later, where he's like, well, if you had said that kind of insolence to Jabba, he would have thrown you to the menagerie. Like, there's definitely something that happens between there. But I just love, like, Boba being this, like, calm, cool, collected, like, overlord of the underworld. Like, that just sounds so cool. And as much as, like, your theory sounds super cool, like, for this ending stinger, the only reason I'd like him to go after Luke Skywalker is if they're going to have Sebastian Stan play Skywalker, because I don't want so much CG in the face, and he already looks like Mark Hamill. Come on, just let it happen. It's fine. I'm trying to think of, like, what could maybe him going back to hang out with Mando would be cool, but, like, I feel like this is gonna be a expansion. I don't know about you, but when they showed that shot of Mos Eisley, I was like, oh, whoa, this town's grown so much. That's so great. Like, how did they communicate that in, like, one shot of, like, me as a Star Wars fan who knows what Mos Eisley looks like, being like, oh, hey, that's Mos Eisley. Whoa, it's gotten so big. Man, this feels like coming home to a town after 4 years of college. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's so cool. That was such a cool feeling. I don't know why.
I love at the end when he's just like, the line that you mentioned of just like, if you said that to Jabba, he would have fed you to his menagerie. Speak freely. And I'm just going, nope, don't speak freely.
That's a threat.
It's like the stereotypical of, like, you could do what you want. You cannot do what you want. Speak freely. If we don't get references to Luke or Han, can we bring back some Star Wars bounty hunters, please?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Like Dengar or Bosk Or I don't know, because I don't know this section of the universe, and I know this storyline was originally planned, it just never came to fruition. We know Dave Filoni is in charge of all the streaming stuff, or has a hand in all the streaming stuff. Josh, how would you feel about Boba Fett versus Cad Bane?
Oh, I'm down, yeah. The other thing that had come to mind is like, well, as far as we know, Obi-Wan is going to be on Tatooine at the same time.
Obi-Wan's dead. This is after Return of the Jedi.
No, don't talk to me, man. I don't need...
Where's your brain? This is after Mando season 2.
I love that. I was like, man, it's so great to see Mos Eisley grow, and then instantly go to like putting something outside of the timeline. Dang it. Okay, never mind.
It's after Return of the Luke.
Don't. Yeah,
Obi-Wan is long gone.
Well, some of the fan theories for this trailer are insane. Like some of them were saying like there's some moments where he's fighting Darth Maul and was like, excuse me, Darth Maul's been dead for a long time.
He's been killed twice by Obi-Wan.
Yeah, like you can't shut up. Like that's not going to be a thing that happens here. Like
no, but like they never did actually end up filming that Cad Bane thing. Supposedly they were supposed to do a Boba Fett versus Cad Bane in like either Bad Batch or Clone Wars, and it got scrapped. And that's where Boba gets his iconic dent in the helmet from, is from Cad Bane. So maybe for those that don't know, Cad Bane is like one of the best bounty hunters in Clone Wars. Now I'm not a Clone Wars expert. I've seen a few episodes, but I think that would be an interesting way to expand a universe, kind of like they did with bringing in Ahsoka for season 2 of Mando. If you bring in more, that could make the universe smaller though, as opposed to growing it larger. I would like to see like a Dengar or a Bosk, especially a Bosk, come in because he's OP in the games, and I just like
true.
Bosk.
That's true. What'd be really cool is if he started getting all those bounty hunters as his quote unquote royal guard.
Oh.
That would be cool. Like you got to fight all these like of the best to get to him. Anyway.
Or we get this. Season 1 is him claiming Jabba's throne, and season 2, it's gonna be a weird analogy, but go with me here. Boba Fett becomes Amanda Waller, and has his own Suicide Squad of bounty hunters.
I'm down. Yeah.
That'd
be cool. The only other thing that comes to mind right off the bat, outside of them just doing something completely new, I don't remember how she exits the show, but it might be interesting to bring Ventress to live action.
Ooh.
But I don't know. I'm trying to remember if she like dies in Clone Wars.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't remember, but like having Ventress in live action would be really, really cool. Just to have, I mean, you don't have to have a Force user in the show. You never have to have a Force user in Star Wars shows, but it'd be kind of cool if he's trying to take over the underworld of Tatooine, and there just happens to be another big major boss that's also trying to compete and take over the underworld, and it just happens to be Ventress. Like that would be super interesting to me. But then again, I don't know I don't remember how she exits the show, so it might be a little shoddy there.
I don't remember either. Now, let's go for random castings of the day that aren't technically official castings for 500, Alex. Supposedly, Bill Murray has been cast in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So we say supposedly because it isn't technically official, but Bill Murray more or less just kind of like looked at the camera, said he was in a Marvel movie, and then didn't specify who he was working with, and then kind of quickly shut his mouth because he realized he gave away too much. He more or less said something about like, oh, I've wanted to work with director Peyton Reed for a really long time. I enjoyed my experience, but I don't think I'd do more than one Marvel movie. To which everyone's just going, Peyton Reed did Ant-Man. I don't think I would ever do more than one Marvel movie, but I enjoyed my time doing it. 1 + 1 = 4. Bill Murray's in Ant-Man and the Wasp. But to me, this is pretty obvious.
Yeah, that's not a far stretch at all.
No, like, I think he's just like, balls. I gave away more than I should have, so now I'm going to get sniped by Kevin Feige. But, like, didn't overtly, like, say what his role is. So, let's speculate like everyone else is.
Speculate?
what could Bill Murray be doing in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania? My first guess, he's just playing Bill Murray, because that's kind of his shtick lately, is I will cameo as myself. It worked in both not Ghostbusters. It worked in both Zombielands. He's probably cameoing Ghostbusters. He's probably just Bill Murray in this. Or they're just going to make a very, very, really on-the-nose meta Groundhog Day joke about something in the Quantumverse, and maybe like days repeating, and you have Bill Murray because it's Bill Murray. Josh, Bill Murray will now be entering the MCU. Yay or nay?
I mean, Bill Murray's great in everything.
Except Garfield.
No, honestly, him voicing Garfield is the best thing about those movies. They're not good movies, but I watch them to hear Bill Murray be a grumpy cat.
And now it's Chris Pratt's turn.
Yes, it is, unfortunately. But I'm fine with it. It's cool. I mean, I think the only thing, like you said, is I don't know who he'd play. Mainly because we're not really 100% sure what Quantumania is going to be about, necessarily. We know vague terms, but that's about it. The only thing that comes to mind, and this heavily depends on if they end up kind of dabbling more in multiverse stuff. How hilarious would it be if Bill Murray played another universe's version of Hank Pym? And then he's yeah, I made the pin. I made the pin particles. I don't know. That's a thing I did. I don't know. I think it'd be fun. Or like an old version of Ant-Man or something like that.
Ooh.
Like that would be. That's so funny to me. Like, come on. I don't know. It could be interesting. Or Bill Murray's decided to be a serious act, like a very dramatic actor all of a sudden.
He has been. Any Wes Anderson movie?
I mean, that's fair. But that's Wes. I love Wes Anderson.
Yes,
but I know
me too.
how not quote unquote serious they are. Like, I don't know. Like, they are
quirky.
Serious, but they're not. They're quirky. That's different. The quirky is still up his aisle. But like, seeing Bill Murray be a villain would be cool. I don't know how you pull it off, and I don't know what kind of villain. But I'm always down to see a comedic actor all of a sudden start yelling about how he's going to kill people. So, Mel Gibson, I guess.
Well, we know that Jonathan Majors is in it, though, as Kang, so I don't think Bill Murray would be the villain. If he's not playing Bill Murray, because that's just what he does, my other thought was, and I looked up the ages, this could absolutely check out, what if he's just playing Paul Rudd's dad? We've never heard Scott Lang mention his dad before. What if he's Scott Lang Sr.? What if he's Scott Lang's dad? Like, the only more likable person than Paul Rudd is Bill Murray, but Bill Murray's kind of a likable jerk. That's kind of his thing. Like, Paul Rudd's on a different level, but I could absolutely buy Bill Murray being Paul Rudd's dad.
I've already putting that scene together in my head of Paul. They need to go to his dad's house or something, and Paul Rudd's yeah, I mean, Dad, that's so funny. And he's laughing, but the Wasp, she's like, that was really mean. What are you doing? I don't know. It'd be fun. Yeah, I'm totally down with that. I'm all down for more Bill Murray, but I just don't know what I'd see him in. What? Yeah.
Now, we really, really like the Morbius and the Book of Boba Fett trailers. And now for a trailer that I don't know how I feel about it. And that is the trailer for Disney Pixar's Lightyear. Now, my love of Toy Story is well documented on the podcast. So I am not opposed to this movie. However, I am very confused as to what this movie is. And this trailer does not help.
No,
so,
not at all.
Was it last year at that D23 big thing where they announced everything, that they're just we're doing a Lightyear movie with Chris Evans? And I'm still very confused as to what this movie is I don't mind it as Chris Evans as opposed to Tim Allen. I know some people are like, well, why isn't Tim Allen coming back? This isn't the first time we've recasted Tim Allen's voice for Buzz Lightyear. Patrick Warburton, heck yes, Buzz Lightyear Star Command, the animated series. But also, this is not the same Buzz that we know. And this is where the confusion lies. The people making this movie are like, this is the movie that inspired the toys. This is the movie that Andy saw that made him get the Buzz Lightyear stuff. Going, so, is this a movie? Or is this real life events that will later get turned into a movie that Andy watches? And does this movie know it's a movie? Is this like a hard sci-fi fake movie? Is this, or am I overthinking this like Toy Story? And then watching the trailer, it looks cool visually, but it concerns me that we get zero of the story. We get barely any voice acting, and I think that was absolutely done intentionally because while some people know that Tim Allen's not returning, I think there would be a lot more dislikes and much more discord going on if we could hear Chris Evans speak more in the trailer and people realize it's not Tim Allen. I think there's still some people that are under the assumption that he'll come back. It was an odd choice to have such little dialogue. Granted, some of the visuals look cool, and I know it's not a Toy Story movie, but it looks so visually different from Toy Story. There's certain things that I liked about it, but I didn't love this trailer. It has nothing to do with the Tim Allen recasting. It's just that this trailer doesn't give us anything to munch on. Like, it's just kind of there, and I've heard a really good theory, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of buy this. So this trailer only dropped now so that they can start releasing toys in time for Christmas.
Oh, that makes me sad. Yeah, so first of all, the song in the trailer has been stuck in my head since I watched it.
Clearly.
Clearly. It's a cool rendition of it, unlike some other, changes like Uncharted tried to do Revel in, and it didn't work for me. But the song here is not distracting. It kind of makes sense. They time everything pretty well. Like you said, the visuals are incredible. I still don't understand why everyone else in this movie has normal chins and Buzz Lightyear has the chin size of Texas. It doesn't make sense. It's also really weird to see Buzz with hair.
See, that doesn't bother me. People are just like, wait, Buzz had hair? Wait, y'all thought Buzz had a purple head? Like, what? Are you kidding me? That was clearly a cap.
I mean, I know, I understood that, but that doesn't make it any less weird to see him with hair. It'd be like if you saw me with the hair I had in high school, which was like all Justin Bieber-ish. So, like,
Josh had hair at one point.
I did. I had such glorious locks. But like,
now it just fell below his chin.
I think, like you said, this gives us nothing to munch on story-wise. But my least favorite part of this trailer is the end, where they're like, to infinity, and they do the little hand thing, and then they just cut it. And I was like, why? It's such an awkward tone to cut. I understand you're trying to be like, and beyond, right? You guys get it? You guys get it? But, like, it doesn't make it any less awkward. It's like a weird cut to end, just because also the tone of the voice suggests more is coming. But, like, you end the trailer right there. It's just weird. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Also, weird little nitpick that has nothing to do with the trailer and has nothing that the trailer could have known. There's a horror game that just came out called Poppy's Playland, and it's actually really, really scary. But there's a toy that you get in that looks like an orange cat, and there's an orange cat in this that the design looks a lot like that cat, and I was just like, in my head, that cat's gonna kill everything. It's gonna happen, but that's not what's gonna happen. So that just threw me. But yeah, it's a weird trailer. It really is. I don't know.
There's some parts that I'm just like, oh wait. Are you actually referencing the thing that I didn't think you were gonna reference? Like, I highly doubt they're gonna go back and implement anything from Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, the animated series. Even though they should look at that as the template for this. Mm-hmm. But there's a shot in this trailer where there's someone walking down alleyway with a whole bunch of what look like Zerg bots, with someone in a red suit, and going, why does that look like Buzz's old partner that has the hook hand that's got the blue skin, and I'm forgetting what his name is? That looks exactly like his suit. Are we? Like, I will completely throw all of my cynicism and skepticism about this movie out the window if in the next trailer you show us Booster and XR in the same spaceship with him, and then all of a sudden Mira just floats up through the floor with her phasing abilities. I'll go like, shut up and take my money. You have all of my money.
That is also something that isn't very clear in this trailer, is if they almost treat it like he's the first one to go on this space adventure in some ways. And then I know there's that tentacle, but there's a disturbing lack of aliens. And maybe this is just because you and I love Buzz Lightyear Star Command and we're expecting this to be like that, or we feel like this is supposed to take that place of that show that for whatever reason they ignore that it exists.
Because John Lasseter hated the show.
Well, that's okay, fine.
That's why it's not on Disney Plus. But he's not at Disney anymore, so
I don't get it. I mean, it's all on YouTube. You can go watch it. It's fine.
Well, certain episodes are gone due to copyright, which is stupid.
Which is so odd that like it's only like every other like a fourth episode or something like that is missing. That show is absolutely ridiculous and fun, and like there's like some sci-fi stuff they do that's like Buzz Lightyear falling in love with a woman who has got a head the size of a planet is just ridiculous, but it's so fun. But like I can't tell if my hesitancy towards this trailer is because of my love of that show, or if they're because they really aren't giving us any kind of like timeline or like, hey, this is what's happening. There's no story chunks other than just the visuals, which I don't mind because the visuals are beautiful, but it's just weird.
Is this reality sci-fi or is this fantasy sci-fi? Like, are we getting a ton of aliens or is this more about the exploration? There is some teases to Zerg, which I'm all down for. I need the final fight to be an actual Buzz versus Zerg fight and not, as much as it was funny in Toy Story 2, of I'm going to play catch with my dad. Like, as great as that was, I want an actual Zerg versus Buzz fight, and I don't know if we'll get that or not, but I did see quite a few Zerg references in here, so maybe we'll at least have that. But this trailer, it's not bad, but at the same time, it didn't win me over, who's already kind of on the fence about this movie, because it feels like this movie doesn't know what it wants to be, other than we need to sell toys, and Toy Story isn't a continuing franchise anymore. Now, you can do this with Buzz, with recasting the voice of Chris Evans. You can't do this with Woody, and maybe that's why they're doing it with Buzz, because we know what the voice in Woody's Roundup sounds like. I'm surprised they haven't tried to do a Woody's Roundup movie yet, but you can't do that because Tim Allen voiced it then. Not Tim Allen, Tom Hanks voiced it then, too. I just don't know about this movie. I'm hoping it's not another Monsters University situation, but this trailer hasn't really wowed me. Then again, Pixar hasn't really wowed me a lot in the past decade or so.
Yeah, but like, and it's tough because it, again, and we keep saying this, visually stunning. So it's like, it's going to be one of those movies, I feel, and I hope it's not this, that the story is crap, the characters are crap, but it's great to look at.
Like The Good Dinosaur.
Oh.
Now, lastly, speaking of stunning, we have Keanu Reeves. A Keanu Reeves spinoff. Lastly, for our news, we have further updates about this John Wick spinoff series called Ballerina, basically about the secret organization that was first introduced in John Wick Chapter 3. And now it seems like we have our lead protagonist will be played by Ana de Armas, and I could not be happier. This woman is just everywhere now. I
Mm-hmm.
had no idea who she was until Knives Out when she was Marta, and I thought she was absolutely the best thing about that movie. And there's a lot to love about Knives Out. And then she absolutely crushed it in the new James Bond. I'm really, really excited to see her in more stuff. Depending on who is the creative team, I'm very excited about a John Wick spinoff. If it is still the same core crew, I will trust it because John Wick movies, all of them have consistently entertained me. I love the lore and the universe that they have built over time, that they don't over-explain everything, but you can clearly tell, okay, this is some weird stuff in the spy world, but I kind of really, really enjoy it. And I hope this isn't just like an Annabelle to a Conjuring type of situation of we're just going to pass off the B storylines to somebody else. I don't expect Chad Stahelski to direct these like he's done all the other John Wicks, but I'm hoping it keeps the same quality. And having Ana de Armas in this is a strong starting point. I don't know why, but I heard some other names in this that I thought were already cast, but I think she works better because she already has that, I want to say foreign appeal, but there is something too. If you have ballerina, I don't expect it to be an American actress. I expect someone with, you could have a bunch of different backgrounds that I would buy, but she has this mystique to her that I'm just like, you are very intriguing as an actress, and I'm very intrigued by the character that you might bring to this. We don't know if Angelica Houston will be coming back. I would imagine so, because she's the one that supposedly is in charge of all the ballerinas. I think it would be a long shot for Keanu to come back, but Angelica Houston, that would make sense. Josh, as a fellow John Wick fan, are you intrigued by the prospect of a spinoff series?
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm with you. Is like, as long as it's not like all the B storylines get thrown onto her, because that's kind of crappy to do, to create a spin-off series and then just give them the storylines you didn't want to do. I'm kind of expecting something like Gunpowder Milkshake mixed with what was it, Atomic Girl,
Atomic Blonde.
Yeah, something in between there. Tone wise, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure where they're going with it. It's Ana de Armas. She's great. I mean, I'm a fan for certain reasons, but I at the same time, like, obviously the idea and the concept of a female lead in an action movie has been growing more popular. It's not always done 100% to perfection.
Gunpowder Milkshake.
Yes. While I like Gunpowder Milkshake is not perfect, there's some stuff that they do with Karen Gillan's character in that movie that I really enjoy, in that at no point do they pretend like just because she's a great fighter, she can overpower people who are like 3 times her size. And to me, that's, I think, especially with doing a ballerina with the ballerinas, it's going to be something, I would expect it, I should say, to be something different than John Wick, where he's just this lumbering man who can kill anyone. But she has to be smarter about how she interacts with all of the fights and stuff like that. But it's still like really awesome in her own right. I don't know how to describe it, but it's got it. I think there's a weird, delicate balance that is going to have to exist in this. But I think if the original's like crew comes back to do these spin-off stuff, I have no worries whatsoever. I think they'll do fine.
So basically, I think I get what you're saying, of like, you want it to feel in the Wick universe, but the character not to feel like John Wick. Like, the way Captain America fights is not the same as Black Widow type of situation.
The last thing I want is for her to fight exactly like Keanu. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Now, I'm thinking of like other characters that could potentially show up in this. Angelica Houston really needs to come back because she was the person that we first met as the person introducing us into these ballerina characters. I would like the concierge to come back, please, because he's like my favorite character in all the John Wick movies, even more so than John Wick. Like, John's cool. The concierge is where it's at. Maybe bring Halle Berry back.
That's going to be my thought too.
Oh, like Halle Berry and the dogs were the coolest thing to add to this universe.
Cool. And, like, she doesn't even have to be, like, someone who trains her, or, like, it could literally just be the kind of interaction that John Wick has with her of, like, hey, you're a coworker, let's get this stuff done. Like, that could be interesting. I think what's also going to be interesting is timeline of, like, where this movie takes place in the John Wick universe. Does it take place during all the events of John Wick? Does it take place before, after? If it's before, where was this character during all the events of 1, 2, and 3? You know, so I think to say a spin-off almost doesn't discredit, because it does have, because John Wick does such a good job of building its lore and its world, that you can't just be like, all right, cool, we did Batman and Robin, time to do a Batgirl movie. Like, you can't just do a spin-off. You have to, it actually has to have a place in the story now.
Yeah, like, is this happening at the same time as John Wick, to the point that she might eventually help him take on the head of the table type of thing? Or is it the high table? Head of the table is somebody completely different. Although Roman Reigns is a John Wick henchman, I could get down with that, but that would involve him being away from the title for a while. Like, could she eventually cross over with Wick? Maybe she was tasked to kill Wick at one point and is one of the only people to ever survive an encounter with him, because he sometimes leaves people alive. Common is still out there somewhere in the Wick verse. He didn't die in John Wick 2. So this intrigues me. I like the John Wick universe, so I always like to see more of it. Just keep the quality, and I'll be happy. I know that's a high ask, but just keep the quality is all I can ask for John Wick at this point for the spin-offs. So, Josh, you do the sponsor for this week, so you can drop the big news that we've got.
So we always have our sponsor for TeePublic, because that's where you can get all TeePublic merch, correct?
Like Josh's shirt.
Like my shirt, exactly.
It's
a cool
super
shirt.
Comfy.
It is
Everyone
actually.
like that.
It is a tri-blend, and oh my gosh, this thing is so soft even after a couple washes. And like, I've gotten some other stuff from TeePublic that's not Uncharted, and it's really high quality stuff. That being said, you and me are always looking to kind of expand the brand. I'm going to say brand, like we're like super cool and up there. But you recently created the tinfoil hat shirt, which is cool, because you and I are always around we got our conspiracy theories and stuff like that.
I was out yesterday, and someone pointed that out, and they're like, what's that? I'm like, when you have a crazy idea, you have a tinfoil hat theory. And she's like, oh, never heard that before. I'm like, weird, but okay.
So with that in mind, I commissioned what will be 3 different shirts that 2 of them are in the works, but one of them will be dropping for today. Today? Yeah, today. Because, technically this drops on Wednesday. But it dropped today, and it's as Halloween themed as it gets, because you and I are huge Halloween fans, both in the day, season, and in the movies. And it is just a cool design that
it's probably my favorite we have so far.
Yeah, it's just it's got an 80s vibe to it. It's just 2 guys watching Halloween.
Because neither of us were alive in the 80s and watched Halloween as a kid.
Which is why, but like at the same time, that's exactly why I had it like 2 kids watching it, because it looks cool.
Because we watch kids who watch Halloween.
Exactly. But like there's a lot of little, I don't know how much you've looked at it, but there's a lot of really, really cool details, like the high C coolers and stuff like that. And like it's just a fun shirt design, and you should totally go and check it out and support the channel as best you can, my guys.
So we like dumb stuff.
Which is why we're friends.
Yeah. And if you're listening to us, you like dumb stuff too. And it's safe to say that at least some of these movies, if you're listening to this now, you've seen at least 1 or 2 of these movies of just bottom-of-the-barrel filmmaking of, like, how did this get approved by anyone? But in being so bad at their craft, they end up being something special and something fun. And those, to me, that's something beautiful. You try. It's the Bart Simpson, at least you tried. And it ends up being so fun in the process of going, You just straight up missed the target so much that you shot the next door neighbor from your missed shot here. But sometimes that could be really, really fun in and of itself, especially when you're in a group. A lot of these movies we saw in college because we're like, oh no, this is like legendarily bad, and friends don't let friends watch bad movies alone. Some of these were Five Good Things. Others were just, wow, you gotta roast them together. So, Josh, where should we start?
I'm going to start with one that I don't know if you've seen, but is... Actually, no, I know that you've seen it. It's only available on YouTube now. It used to be on Netflix. Kung Fury is absolute garbage. But it is so good.
That one is like self-aware that it's intentionally trying to be bad.
Is it though?
Yes, it's intentionally supposed to be bad, as opposed to some other ones that are like...
It's the only one on this list then that's intentionally bad, because...
Okay.
God, like, it just, like... But there's a certain...
Je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, because, like, the line that gets me every single time is when they finish. First of all, they time travel by hacking, which is hilarious. And then, he's like, "Oh, what? How far back did I go? What is that? A laser raptor? I must be in the Viking Age. Like, what? How are those dots connected? I don't. It's a great time. It's only like 45 minutes long, and it's on YouTube if you go look it up. It's
the best. The best thing that came out of that, though, was that amazing David Hasselhoff song.
Yes,
like, that's such a good song.
And the ending clip when he goes back in time and you see him talking to the car. He's like, "Come on, Hoff 9000, open the doors. Hoff 9000, open the doors. You could never hassle the Hoff. Hoff 9000." It's like, you can't. Oh, that's so good. I just can't. It's so stupid and so dumb, but it's so perfect.
Okay, so I tried to count up right now. As it stands right now, I've got 1, 2, 3 Nicolas Cage movies.
Dude, I intentionally was like, no, I'm only gonna do one because they could all be on this list.
There's some other Nicolas Cage movies that I thought about, but I'm like, no, they're just torture to watch. They're not even fun bad. Like Nicolas Cage and Hayden Christensen in Outcast. Good God. That has to be one of the worst movies Josh and I ever did for Five Good Things. That was so bad.
Well, and his Left Behind.
That's on my list.
But, like, he's the best part of the movie. For some reason, he chose that moment to act his butt off.
It's because he got to just sit in a comfy chair the entire movie. He's just in the pilot seat. But no, Left Behind is on my list because I saw this movie in theaters. I willingly...
Why?
Because I knew this is either going to be a good movie, fat chance of that actually happening, but stranger things have happened, it was either going to be a good movie or a Nicolas Cage dumpster fire, in which case, sign me up. I love dumpster fires, and this is absolutely an atrocity to filmmaking that needs to be experienced as a community. There's a shot that they're just like, oh, we're going to be creative, and like, there's a dog sitting on the front porch. So then the very next shot in the movie is looking at the house from the dog's perspective. The shot is out of focus, and I'm going, how did you get an establishing shot out of focus? You only have one thing to establish. Or like the moment where everyone actually gets raptured and like everyone's gone. Like this girl's like hugging her little brother, and then all of a sudden there's this awkward jump cut and she's holding a pile of clothes with this weird strobe effect, and you're just like, who okayed this? Who thought this was fine? You're making me miss the Kirk Cameron movie, to which I've seen all 3.
Yeah, but like, what's so funny is that Nicolas Cage is literally the best thing about it. And he's not like, this isn't Nicolas Cage and Vampire's Kiss. This isn't Nicolas Cage and Face Off. This is like Nicolas Cage if Liam Neeson was trying to be Nicolas Cage. Like, he's like acting his butt off for no reason, because this movie is absolutely terrible, but he's like the most believable character in the entire film, and I
Well,
don't understand.
when your movie has Chad Michael Murray, Jordan Sparks, and the short guy from Pirates of the Caribbean, it's not hard for him to be the best character. At one point, Jordan Sparks holds somebody at gunpoint, and I'm just going, is that Jordan Sparks? What's she doing here? Also, there's a moment where clearly not all the cast is together, so they have like that obligatory, look at this character looking lovingly at the family picture. It is one of the worst Photoshop jobs I have ever seen. And I've seen the poster for this movie, in which case you're just going, oh, did you just Photoshop Nicolas Cage's face onto someone else's body? Because the hair doesn't line up on this, and that's not his hair in the movie. I'm particularly harsh on like $5 movie buck bins posters, because some of those are just atrocious, and Left Behind is one of them. They're just going, oh no, that's bad. This movie's bad, but it's so at least entertaining in how bad it is. Just going, what is going on here? And the end of it, I was just like, oh yeah, we're gonna survive somehow, because there's only like 5 main characters that you care about, and it just kind of ends. Like, the whole Left Behind element of it is really not anything. So Left Behind is a Christian property. There's nothing Christian about this movie. It's just like, they got the rights to it. Basically, like, the only thing you really care about is some people on a plane go missing, and that's about the extent of the Left Behind-ness. And they're just like, how do we land this plane? Oh, my daughter's on the ground. She's gonna light up some cones with a truck so we can find a place to land. Like, it's not... The Left Behind element is not really a big part of this movie, but it's so dumb that it becomes fun. Again, your cast includes Nicolas Cage, Chad Michael Murray, Jordan Sparks, and the short guy. Oh, what's his face? I think from The Blind Side was in it, and you're just going, what happened to that guy? Yeah.
What? Oh, okay. That's crazy. It's so, and like, I did that to you when I was watching Ouija Origin of Evil. I was like, whoa, hey, this person's in it. This person's in it. This person's in it. And you're like, yeah, it's a Mike Flanagan movie. I was like, oh, that would make
It's not the biggest WTF cameo that we'll talk about today for another Nicolas Cage movie that Josh and I just saw together for the first time and went, wait, pause. Like, get within 2 inches of the TV. Is that? No. But we'll talk about that one later. That's the weirdest cameo I've ever seen.
Absolutely. So I want to talk about the movie that, and I think part of this whole discussion is some of these movies are so bad, but like certain people enjoy the crap out of them because they're so bad. So if you've seen movie 43, it's basically like an inside joke from a bunch of producers, and it doesn't make sense. It's a bunch of stories that are absolutely terrible. But I tell you what, the image of the whole skit of Hugh Jackman having a ball sack on his neck literally pops in my head once or twice a month, and I laugh every single time, and I don't know why. And there's so much in this movie that's like that. Like,
they literally had to blackmail some of their actors to be in this movie. Richard Gere is in this movie because they offered him the movie, and he's like, sorry, my schedule's busy. They're like, it's okay, we'll wait. And so they literally waited for him to be free, and you could tell he doesn't want to be in this movie.
But then, like, the whole bit about Chris Pratt's wife wanting to take a crap.
Which that scene has not aged especially well at all.
It does not.
Because for those that are curious, it's Chris Pratt and Anna Faris in a scene together as a romantic couple, and you're just going, oh no, this is before things went bad.
It has not aged well.
It's because it's not a good movie.
It's not good at all. It's super bad.
No, I do not enjoy this movie. It's painful.
I'm sorry. I enjoy the crap out of it, and I don't know why. Crap. But like, I can't talk about this movie without laughing because it's so utterly ridiculous. There's no way that this movie went to theaters, yet it did. And like, I don't understand it. Like it is who said that Michael Jackson having a ball sack on Hugh Jackman having a ball sack on his neck as like a physical feature was a good idea, but
which,
gosh, that is so funny.
They blatantly just stole that from Men in Black 2 with the Balchinians.
I mean, yes, but
so
it's like a draft comes through the restaurant and they shrivel up and he's like, "Oh, it's cold in here." Oh, okay. It's so good. So funny.
I'm going to awkwardly barrel roll in the best and most epic segue. So that movie's crap, but it ain't hap. It ain't happening. The happening.
I hate it.
No, we love this movie, and we think it's secretly brilliant.
It tries. It genuinely tries to, like... And I think there's an old Five Good Things episode where we watched this movie, and by gosh, it is... There's, like, some concepts that are super scary in this movie. But because it's M. Night Shyamalan, he doesn't know how to direct people, so it's absolutely ridiculous.
It's supposed to be scary, but one, killer plants, and two, no joke, people, for those that haven't seen it, there's a character that one of his opening lines is, "You like hot dogs? I think hot dogs get a bad rap." You're just going, what? Or what? There's a kid. It's Spencer Breslin, right? That just randomly gets shotgunned in the gut, and the whole time you're just thinking in the back of your head, "Ooh, what you say?" Or Mark Wahlberg might have been hitting on one of his students when he was a teacher. Of just like someone's like giving they're talking about science, and he's just like, you know, Chad, you're not always going to be good looking. You're going to need to care about science because one day you're not going to be as pretty as you are now. I'm going,
what? And that's not even like bringing up any of the other Mark Wahlberg moments from this movie.
What?
And like, I swear it's what? Or like when he's talking to the plant, to the household plant.
It's a plastic plant.
He's like, "We're just gonna go to the bathroom and then we're going. Don't worry." Like whoa. Like, and I think the hard part too is like I can't even blame Mark for this because it's through the entire film it becomes obvious that it was a direction given to him by M. Night Shyamalan. Because there's some moments he's got some great acting in this movie, and then there's other moments like, what? No.
Or John Leguizamo, who's just like, you know what? You got to take care of my kid. Okay, come here, sweetie. Don't you dare let anything happen to her. I'm going, okay, tonal shift here. Or Zooey Deschanel not knowing what the word blink is, so she's just like staring like the Tootsie Roll owl at the camera the whole entire movie, not blinking. It's such a bad movie, but it's so egregiously bad that it ends up being entertaining. You get, what is it, Anna Paquin like stabbing herself in the neck with a knitting needle, just randomly. Everyone just stopping in Central Park, freezing. Just dialogue doesn't make sense, or things people don't really say, like hot dogs get a bad rap, or some soldier in the middle of a field, "This is my firearm is my friend," like out of nowhere. Or let's run from the wind, and then we're gonna talk to each other through a tube, like an echo tube, because we're in a little hut and we're in a house, and everything just kind of ends because Shyamalan didn't know how to end the movie.
Yeah, it sucks too because like there's like you and I always say, there's some really interesting concepts in this movie, like winter, like nature fighting back finally. The way that they go about it is absolutely ridiculous, but like running from the wind, it doesn't make sense unless there's certain things that he implies. Not very well, but he implies that like is being carried on the wind. That
bees.
Interesting. Well, like the movie is so terrible. It's so bad, but it's so hilarious.
It's one of those just like, how? Is this the movie that Disney turned down? Like, there's some famous Shyamalan movie that ended up being really, really bad that he initially pitched to Disney, and they're just like, no, thank you. That might have been Lady in the Water, though, because Shyamalan has a lot of movies to pick from in this category. Some are fun, some are just painful. Looking at You, After Earth, that Will Smith is only just now kind of recovering from.
And like, shout out to Lady in the Water too, because like, they again had some good ideas, but just couldn't, like, I'm sorry, dude, but when you have a guy who was like, I'm a scientist because I only work out one arm and I just want to, and it happens to be his right arm, and there's no way that you can like not make that connection like as an adult. Like, dude, it's so bad. But like, it's also super interesting, and Paul Giamatti is pretty decent in it. But like, yeah, it's
early Bryce Dallas Howard before she could say no to movies. Like, before she helped save Star Wars, she was unfortunately stuck in this movie. Oh man, The Happening is just so. It's just so much fun because of how bad it is. But
yeah,
let's go with our first superhero movie of today. I don't know if it'll be on Josh's list or not. Batman versus Superman. No, not Batman. I hate Batman versus Superman so much.
Bro, I actually saw. I was looking at lists of movies that were like, people were saying it's so bad, it's so good, and like Joss Whedon's Justice League was on there.
No, I like Justice League.
I was like, whoa, chill, bro, chill.
I think Justice League gets unfairly bashed. I don't think it's that bad. It's by no means the worst DC movie.
No, yeah, it's a good time. But what movie you go with? What are we going with here?
The one that actually completely ruined the franchise, and I think there's another one that I think could potentially be the one that started the Superman curse, but the thing that killed Superman, and he's still kind of trying to recover from to this day, Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. You know, the one with Nuclear Man, where Nuclear Man says, if you do not stop, I must hurt people. And I'm just going, because the actor that played Nuclear Man wasn't a good enough actor, they literally dub over all of his lines with Lex Luthor's voice, and I'm just going, why? At one point, Nuclear Man, with his saber-tooth type claws, scratches Superman because his claws are kryptonite. And that's not even mentioning Superman fixing the Great Wall of China with his laser repair vision. Like, he looks at the Great Wall of China and the bricks magically jump cut themselves back into place. And I'm just going, I know Superman has had a lot of weird powers over the years. Fixing the Great Wall of China with your eyes and magically floating down people with your eyes, like not, flying to catch them or whatever, but actually telepathically bringing people down to safety, is not one of Superman's powers. Christopher Reeve helped write the script for this movie. He clearly did not have a lot of writing experience on this one. Josh, have you seen Quest for Peace?
No, I've actively avoided it because I want to keep my version of Christopher Reeves is good.
Oh, you mean by that you mean only half of his movies are good? Because
but he's Superman, Nathan.
Yeah,
he's Superman.
And Superman 1, great. I like the extended cut more. Superman 2, great. Superman 3 with Richard Pryor. Oh boy, it's a Richard Pryor movie cameoing Superman. And then you get this movie, which is just bizarre. Granted, it was nice to have some people back, like Gene Hackman. I still don't like Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor, but it helps the movie when you've got characters that you're familiar with, as opposed to Superman 3, in which case Lois and Lex are just going, nope, you fired our friend, so we're not going to be in this movie. And Lois literally has a scene where she's just going, I'm on vacation, and conveniently shows up at the end of the movie again and going, I wonder why they have Lana Lang in this movie instead of Lois. But 4 is the movie that basically just sunk the studio that it was in. It got its budget slashed to a third right before they were filming, which is why literally all the flying shots are just the same shot recycled from previous movies with different backdrops in front of it. It's that cheap and it's that bad that you're just going, is this like dollar store Superman? This is just bad. I can't look away. At one point, Nuclear Man hits Superman into the moon like a hammer hitting a nail. He just bops him over the head, and he just sinks into the moon. And you're going, cool. Could you not get Dolph Lundgren for Nuclear Man?
Nope.
Because this feels like it was written for Dolph Lundgren, a tall, blonde, angry man. This feels like it was written for Dolph Lundgren, but you couldn't get Dolph Lundgren? It's often in the conversation for a worst Superman movie of all time, but I'm tempted to give it a pass because of how much of its budget got slashed and how much behind-the-scenes issues there were. And Christopher Reeve, his heart was in the right place of, let's get rid of all nuclear weapons and I'll just throw them into the sun. Like, A for effort, but F for execution, but it ends up being fun and how badly they executed it. They executed the Superman franchise until Brandon Routh tried, and even then. That's not the only superhero movie, though, we're going to talk about today.
Nope. You want to talk about Blade Trinity?
Oh, that was not on my list, but okay.
That's a superhero movie, and it's great.
I have not seen Blade Trinity, but I know the behind-the-scenes issues.
Dude, okay. First of all, this was Ryan Reynolds' audition to be Deadpool. Obvious. It's so
or Green Lantern.
Obvious. Or Green Lantern, because legitimately, like his character has two swords. He's quippy, even when he's getting his butt kicked. Like it's bad. And if you've ever thought, when you're watching WWE and you're like, man, Triple H is cool. I wonder what he'd be like as a vampire. This movie's for you.
With a vampire dog.
It's so bad. It is the worst of the Blade trilogy. But gosh, is it fun? Wesley Snipes is still doing his thing as Blade. The plot is absolutely ridiculous. I think, if I remember right, this is the one where they introduce blood farms, like as a visual aspect, where they're draining people. Like they have warehouses full of humans that are being drained slowly.
Is that like warehouses as in W-A-R-E or W-E-R-E?
I hate you. Anyway, the acting is terrible. The plot makes no sense. It's not good at all, and the CGI is cringy. But
all the Blade CG does not hold up as well as people remember.
It doesn't.
Especially that original one.
The first one's pretty good.
The first one does not hold up CG wise.
No, it does not.
Quality wise, but CG. No.
It is. I think, and that maybe you could say this about all the Blade ones. They are absolutely movies from their time, and they have not held up well. The acting is still terrible. The CGI is still bad. But gosh, it is so much fun, and that's all that matters in these.
The one that I always love is I think it's the first Blade that I'm still scratching my head as, what does that even mean? Is Wesley Snipes' mother effers are always trying to ice skate uphill?
Yes.
What? What does that mean?
There's so many of those lines throughout these entire movies. Like, they don't make sense, but I'm here for it, I guess.
That's like going and like your epic action line is like, and Kermit the Frog can't drive a Cadillac. Like,
I mean,
what?
That's not true. He can obviously drive a car. We've seen it when in the movie Muppets Go to Hollywood. Anyway,
no, he doesn't drive a Cadillac. He rides a hog.
Anyway. Oh wow, that was weirdly dark. No, yeah, Blade Trinity's is so bad, but it's pretty entertaining, especially if like it's odd that Ryan Reynolds is like the best thing about that movie because he's so entertaining.
Just by being Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, he's basically as Deadpool as you're gonna Deadpool in a movie that's not Deadpool. So.
All right, how many? I've got 5 more. How many more you got?
I got 3, but the ones that we probably have a lot similar ones, or like the ones sure. I've just forgotten to put. I've got at least 2 that are.
I got at least 2 that are like my Mount Rushmores. If Mount Rushmore only had 2, so I'll save those for last. One that I don't think is on Josh's list: Captain America. But don't worry, not the Marvel one.
Oh gosh! I have forgotten about that movie for a reason. It's so bad. But like, oh man, there's certain parts of it that like I will randomly jump into my head. Like when he pulls the nuke that he's laying on, that's flying at the White House, and he's just like, no. Like changes the like that's not how that works.
So for those that don't know, before the MCU was the MCU, there's quite a few awful made-for-TV Marvel movies. Like Thor has one, then Thor gets a sequel where he meets Bill Bixby's Hulk. Captain America, though, gets the worst, besides Doctor Strange and his really awful movie. No, Captain America really got the short end of the stick in terms of movies. And his first one, I know the sequels are bad too, but we'll focus specifically on the first one. Catcher in the Rye author J.D. Salinger's kid plays... It's not even, like, accurate to the source material Steve Rogers. It's just kind of there. He's just, like, a regular soldier who's kind of a horrible person. Like, he's not even worthy of being Captain America. Twice in this movie, he needs to get somewhere, so he hitchhikes a ride and goes, oh, I don't feel good. Can you pull over? And he pretends he's throwing up. So when the person goes to check on him, he quickly runs and steals the car, stranding the other person. He does that twice! I'm going, first of all, Captain America knows how to steal a car. Second of all, you're faking throwing up so you can cowardly run to the unlocked car and drive away. You think someone's just going to leave the car and then that's not even introducing the Italian Red Skull. Not German, not a Nazi. He's Italian, and he looks so bad. He looks like a villain that you might see at like a Chuck E. Cheese. He's like if you wear a Cheeto as a helmet for Halloween. He looks so bad. The Captain America shield is literally an oversized frisbee that actually kind of fluctuates when it's in the air because it's so poorly made. He has rubber ears on the outside of his helmet. Not actually ear holes for his ears to come out of his mask. Fake ears on the side of his helmet. I'm pretty sure this movie was made for like $10. And how bad it is, and how terrible the acting is, the effects. The end of it, he literally throws the shield at Red Skull, who falls off a cliff, and it's clearly a dummy that they just yeeted off the side of a mountain and see it hit everything on the way down. You're just like, this is horrible, and I kind of love every minute of it.
Yeah. One of the things I remember of the origin of how they made the Red Skull in the movie is like kind of scary and like really like, and there's like cheap like they like free. I remember for whatever reason I remember them like mutating a rat with it first, and then them using that serum on the Red Skull, and it was like that's why he looks that way. And it was like I just remember being like kind of scared of the rat for no stupid reason. But yeah, no, it is bad. It's like I can't get over. He's riding the nuke. He's riding the nuke, and he pulls it up. Why? You can't. That's not how you change trajectory.
Someone just watched the ending of Doctor Strangelove.
It is one of those movies that is right there on the edge of being so bad it's good, because at certain points it's so bad that it's just bad. Like it is not entertaining. But I mean, I think it's entertaining now to go back and see like what we have and what we didn't, what we like had before. It's entertaining to be like, oh, okay, cool. So this is what happens when somebody takes the source material seriously, and this is what happens when somebody tries to make some money without a budget. Like,
I think it'd be a bad movie if there wasn't a Captain America movie. Like, okay, we can at least poke fun and laugh at this movie. My other superhero movie, my last one, is yet again our boy coming through in the clutch for us, Nicolas Cage. Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance.
Yes. Yes. I love this movie so much, and I don't need to. Like, I think the thing that sold it for me was seeing Nicolas Cage's reaction, like in interviews, like trying to explain like what's going on in this film, and like he's so passionate and like excited for this stuff, and like I think it was like Jimmy Fallon or something was like, yeah, that sounds super cool. Let's roll the clip. And like they show the clip and Jimmy Fallon's still like, all right, guys, that's Spirit of Vengeance coming out. I'm like,
well,
bro,
because Jimmy Fallon is such a good interviewer and never
has
like, issues interviewing people.
God, it's just there's so like, I think I don't know where to start with this movie.
That's the thing. I don't even know.
Like when I think the pinnacle for me, outside of how this whole movie ends, is when he gets in that like excavator with a giant saw blade.
It's so cool.
It's so cool, but like,
unironically cool though. It's not like it's so bad it's good. That genuinely
that is so cool.
So Ghost Rider, whatever he is riding, turns into a vehicle for the Ghost Rider. So he gets a giant excavating crane that turns into a gigantic 50-foot flaming chainsaw, and you're just going, I don't care about logic. So cool. It's beautiful, and it's killing people. It's cool.
Yeah, they definitely, like, at some point for this movie, they're like, yeah, no, Ghost Rider's gonna have to absolutely murder some people. Like, at no qualms at this point in the movie, they're like, yeah, no, like, Ghost Rider could be kind of good. Like, he's like an anti-hero, No, like, he's legitimately murdering everybody he sees. Like, oh, man.
Also, I think it's funny that Idris Elba's like, oh, man, I think after Thor Ragnarok, I'm just done with the character of Heimdall. I want him to be done. I'm done with Marvel. I'm just going, you weren't done with Marvel after you did Spirit of Vengeance? Because Idris Elba's in it as, like, an angel or a monk or something that gets thrown off a cliff, and people are literally like, how did she survive? By the grace of God. No joke, they do a Family Guy style cutaway to how he survived, and he literally just gets stuck in a tree with weird Switzerland music in the background. I'm going, did you just do a Family Guy cutaway gag in a Ghost Rider movie?
Oh, man,
to a man so stuck in a tree. A very confused Idris Elba in a tree.
Oh, and then they get drunk at the monastery. I think I might go watch this movie after we're done recording because it's so funny.
And then there's a kid that's going to become the devil.
Yes, and he ends up, he's like, no, it's my choice. Oh man, it's so bad, but it's so like
nothing makes sense, and that's why
nothing
it's
makes
good.
sense. But a lot like in the excavator that turns into a giant flaming chainsaw, like there's so much, and I think I can say this even in like the first Ghost Rider. There's so much stuff in both of these movies that is unironically cool. They're just in these movies. Like this is like peak Nicolas Cage, like.
Not quite.
Almost.
We'll save that one for last because that's probably our favorite.
He's knocking at the door. Like, oh, dude, it's so like there's such great, terrible filmmaking that honestly,
both Ghost Riders.
Yeah,
at least the first one, like, kind of, it's that early 2000s bad, like Daredevil and Fantastic Four. Although the first Ghost Rider still has some elements that I'm very confused about, like Nicolas Cage having a martini glass full of jelly beans while watching monkey fails on TV. I'm going, was this a special request from Cage himself to be in this movie?
Or it's like one of those like really like niche, like not well known comic strips that happens in the Ghost Rider lore that he's just like okay, cool. Or like, but like stuff like when he's Ghost Rider on the bike and he's literally driving up the side of a building, and it's just so cool.
Well, to be fair, that's a Ghost Rider thing. That's absolutely something Ghost Rider does.
I mean, I know, but like, It doesn't make it any less ridiculous.
Ghost Rider, Nicolas Cage, Ghost Rider in Multiverse of Madness, please.
Oh, don't tempt me with a good time. Oh, have him meet, have Shuri just like observe anything that happens with Ghost Rider, and she's just like, science cannot explain how stupid this is.
At the end,
make Shuri the Batman of the Marvel Universe.
The end credits of Black Panther 2. Shuri, we know you're the new ruler of Wakanda and everything, but there's somebody asking to see you. I'm knocking at Wakanda's door. All right, we got 3 left. Josh has 3 left. Josh, what's one that's not one of the obvious ones? I don't. There's 2 obvious ones I think that we're both going to have.
Yeah, Deep Blue Sea is one I have on
Okay,
here.
see, I don't think that's that bad from a filmmaking perspective.
No, well, the CGI is really bad, and the story is not so great.
You mean you don't like CGI ragdoll Samuel L. Jackson getting eaten by a shark?
See, like, and that's what I think, like, because of the memes that have come from this movie, it's hard to kind of like be like, no, like it's not a bad movie. It's really entertaining. Like, no, like it is a terrible movie.
Yeah,
yes.
it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Okay. One of them kills one of the sharks by like luring it into like an oven and then shutting that oven and kill it. Like, shut up. No, that's not how this works. Especially when that oven is also underwater.
It's a
like
Dutch oven.
That's not how electronics work. You can't, no. Nah, it's not good, but like there's so much memorable crap that happens in it. We're
gonna seal up this hole.
Oh,
we're going to survive.
Like, oh dude, it's so terrible. It's up there like with the Samuel Jackson like moments.
Snakes on a plane.
Snakes on a plane. Like, it's from that era of like just on the peak of when Sharknado started being a thing. It's late 90s bad, and it's just memorable in the worst kind of way. Excuse me. Oh my. My body was like, don't talk about this movie anymore.
So now's the time we all get to enjoy Josh being pissed off by one of my picks. Jason X.
I have this movie on here as well.
Oh, then we do not have one lined up.
Yeah,
interesting.
Okay. So here's the thing: Jason X is not a good movie.
No, it's a great movie.
It's a terrible slasher with an absolute ridiculous premise.
No, it's a good slasher. It's a bad Friday.
I hate you. All right, you know what? I'm gonna let you, since you're presenting it on your list, I'll let you take it then.
I think as a slasher movie, it's actually one of the better ones because the slashing is really good. Jason X has my favorite Friday the 13th kill of all time. He takes a woman's head and dunks it in liquid nitrogen and then hits the head on the counter. Like, that's genius. But on the same time, you've got a man in a spacesuit colliding with Jason mid-orbit and then just gets thrown to Earth. I'm coming, mother effers! Like, just flying up into space randomly at the end. Or there's a hologram room. There's characters whose nipples fall off. Not like get cut off or anything. They fall off.
Or like the girl that's like getting sucked out of the ship and she's like, man, this sucks, and then gets sucked out of the ship. Like, bro, did I write this movie? What is going on?
There's a stoner who gets his arm cut off and doesn't think anything of it. He just picks it up like it's dropped his wallet and is just like, okay. Like, what? It shouldn't work. It's kind of self-aware, though, that it's bad.
Yeah, I think because there's no way that this was not written as a comedy, especially because when Jason throws that guy, is it a guy? I think throws one of the characters under that circular drill, and its shot stays on it for too long of like him like circling down the drill bit. It's like there's no way that this isn't done for comedic effect. That the timing is perfect. It's not. It's hilarious. It's too funny for its own good.
I'm still waiting on the day because I think they basically stole the set from it that we get a Jason X Xenon Girl of the 21st Century crossover because they look so like they were shot on the same set, and I just need Jason to kill the Zoom 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 guy, Supernova, or whatever his name was, because his stupid spiky hair. Jason X is just dumb, but I think it knows it's dumb. Whereas our last two movies here think they're art and think they're much better than they are. We're going to save the one that I know is on Josh's list but for last. This other one is the Citizen Kane of bad, and I'm surprised Josh didn't mention it. And it's one of my favorite comedies of all time, even though it was absolutely not intended to be. The Room.
Yeah.
The Room is just a student film gone wrong, except it's not a student, and it was a budget of $8 million, which for 2001, holy crap, that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, The Room is a story in and of itself. Tommy Wiseau stars in, produces, writes, directs this movie, everything. Pretty sure he catered. Well, he would cater if he felt like feeding his actors. But most movies are either shot on digital cameras or film cameras. Tommy Wiseau's going, I want to be first director to do both at the same time. And so he films the entire movie, creates his whole rig that's not existent, films his whole rig to shoot it on digital and film at the same time. The editing process for film camera, for film movies, and digital movies are not the same process. Why? You're just overcomplicating it. And so reports a few years ago were that Tommy Wiseau was thinking about re-releasing The Room on 4K, using some of the basically just doing a remaster or a rescan. So I'm going, okay, cool. You shot this on film, so that might translate well to 4K and look pretty solid. Tommy Wiseau's just going, oh yeah, we're going to use the digital footage for a 4K. I'm going, you freaking moron! You do realize digital cameras from 2001 are not going to look as good upscaled as film from 2001. Like, I'm pretty sure you shot it in like 720p, maybe 1080 if you were lucky. Like, why not just reuse the film? That would translate well, so at least something would look good about this movie. The Room is like a fever dream of a movie. There's like 5 plot points that never get addressed again. There's a dude that gets shaken down for money. Where's my money, Denny? And then the drug dealer never comes back into play in this movie. Or an abusive boyfriend that gets mentioned and is never brought up again in the greatest scene in cinematic history of, I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bull. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark. And then Mark immediately tells him of the story about this dude that used to hit his girlfriend so bad that she ended up in a hospital down on Guerrero Street, to which Tommy laughs. Ha ha, what a story, Mark. Like, it's like a computer wrote the script using AI technology. It doesn't connect at all. There's a mom who just goes, I got the test results back. I have cancer. And it's never addressed again. She's totally fine with having cancer. She's not stressed or worried. But heaven forbid, she thinks her daughter might be cheating on her boyfriend. That's more important than cancer. Tommy Wiseau cannot act. There's a sex scene on a staircase that goes on way too long, except I don't want to be too graphic with it, but the important clothes for a sex scene stay on, so logically you're just going, how is this working right now? Or there's yet another sex scene where I'm pretty sure there's aiming for the belly button, and they spoof it into Disaster Artist, which it's weird to me that a movie about a movie is better than the movie itself. Like, the Disaster Artist, like, got Academy Award nominations. It's that good of a movie. But The Room, if you watch it as a comedy, it is single-handedly one of the greatest comedic pieces ever created. As a film, It's everything not to do in a movie. Like, there's bad ADRing. There's scenes of characters going out to the parking lot to throw a football around while in full tuxedos. Why they're in full tuxedos? We don't know. They won't be in tuxedos ever again. They don't play football, though. They just play catch. They just throw the football around and call that playing football. At the end, spoiler alert, Tommy shoots himself, but was supposed to originally have a monologue after shooting himself, going, "You're dead." He goes into a quote-unquote primal rage, in which case he just kind of casually knocks stuff off the fireplace and kind of casually chucks his 4x3 monster of a TV. There's a scene where he picks up flowers, and the dialogue is like completely reversed. "Hi, I'd like to buy a dozen roses." "Oh, hi, Tommy, didn't realize it was you. Here's you go. Hi, doggy, you're my favorite customer. Bye." That's how the dialogue comes out, and you're just going, what? The whole time you're watching it, your brain is trying to catch up with the previous couple scenes that you've seen, just going, I'm so confused. But if you're watching in a group, be confused together and have fun with it. I'm determined before I die, I'm going to see this in theaters with a group of people, because this is one of those, like, WTFs of movie making, going, why are all the picture frames here pictures of spoons? I don't get it, but I don't want to get it, because Tommy's not human, and that's why it's beautiful.
I hate this movie. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's even, like, so bad it's good. I just don't like it. I feel bad, because, like, that might be the part of me that's also, like, refusing to see Squid Game. Just, like, no, I'm not going to, out of spite, because... And I think the question would be also raised that... would this movie be considered one of those so bad it's goods if the Disaster Artist didn't come out?
Yes.
And if
I still love The Room. I was excited for the Disaster Artist because I love The Room.
Yeah, and see, I just don't...
See,
like, it's so bad,
there was midnight screenings. There was midnight screenings for The Room even before the Disaster Artist. Like, it's had this cult following for years because it's literally everything about filmmaking done wrong. Bad audio, bad camera work that makes no sense, nothing coherent story-wise, bad acting, no air conditioning on set, a whole bunch of stuff that just does not make sense. But in that nonsensicalness, you find the joy that is The Room, unless you're dead inside like Josh.
Yep, dead inside, so I hate it. No, I don't know, man. I think, and maybe this is like the hipster trash coming out. It's like, well, just because everybody likes it doesn't mean I have to.
Oh, you mean like Civil War?
I don't know what you're talking about. It's still a terrible movie. Does it give us cool comic book panels brought to life? Yes. Does the story make any sense? No.
Yes, it does.
Oh, it does it.
Josh is just being contrarian just to be contrarian.
No, it doesn't. It's got three different revenge stories going on at the same time, and none of them mesh well with each other. Anyway.
So Josh's points don't make any sense. So he needs to be burned alive, but he's going to ask the whole time, how'd I get burned? How'd I get burned? Because
I'll just put on a bear costume and punch the crap out of you. It's like, even in context, that scene doesn't make sense. We're, of course, talking about the atrocity that is Nicolas Cage's The Wicker Man.
The majesty of Nicolas Cage's Wicker Man.
This movie has everything, man. Do you want Nicolas Cage asking absurd questions? Like, when the group of people come up with a sack from the ocean. Well, what is that? A shark? Like, doesn't
investigate, even though it's dripping blood.
Holds a woman at gunpoint to steal her bike,
and drives that bike through a swarm of bees, which is already established that he is allergic to bees. So in the movie, when he gets stung by a bee, hey, let me run further into the bee's home, not away from the bees. Let me run further towards the bee. That's not even talking about there's a character named Sister Beach. There's a character that gets roundhouse kicked into a wall who unleashes a squeal, the likes of which I've never heard in a movie ever again. Like, tries to flail attack Nicolas Cage.
And like, how to get burned, how to get burned. I don't know. Like,
also, we mentioned this at the beginning of the show with Nicolas Cage with random Jordan Sparks cameo in Left Behind. The Wicker Man has probably one of the most bizarre movie cameos we have ever seen. So Josh and I watched The Wicker Man for the first time in college just because so many people had spoofed it. We're like, we're going to watch it for ourselves. We'd already watched like the Nostalgia Critic one video talking about it and everything else, so we were familiar with it. But when we're watching it, there's a scene with Nicolas Cage in a bar, in a diner specifically, and we're just going, wait a second. Pause. We all get within like 2 inches of the TV. Is that Aaron Eckhart from The Dark Knight? Look it up on IMDb. Aaron Eckhart, uncredited. There's this dude hiding in the back of the frame of the movie. Doesn't say a line. He's just a cop in a diner drinking a cup of coffee. And it's Aaron Eckhart with a mustache. Go, why is Aaron Eckhart in this movie? It's not like he was a no-name at this point. He was already in The Dark Knight. Like, he was already a main actor. Why are you in this for no lines, for 2 seconds? And this is also a movie that has a random James Franco cameo at the end.
Yes! Like
that,
what in the world?
That at least makes sense of, okay, someone else will eventually get lured into an island. But Aaron Eckhart, that's like casting, I don't know, Tom Hardy to be in your horrible, horrible horror movie, but having him be just some passerby in the street that just goes by for a quick second. You're just going, was that Tom Hardy? You're just going, is that Aaron Eckhart? Like Two-Face? What? Why is he
here?
He doesn't come back ever again.
No,
and then
he has no lines.
We immediately just go to the next scene where the scene right before it, Nicolas Cage is picking up some little girl's doll from the side of the road, but he can't do it like a normal person where he stops his bike or whatever. He's got to do it in the coolest way possible. So he's still driving his motorcycle and just kind of scoops it up on the side of the road like a epic hero shot, like defusing a bomb type of heroics, and you're just going,
why is this shot so cool?
And then he's trying to rescue this girl from a flaming car, but the girl doesn't want to be saved, and so she gets hit by a truck. And so that's supposed to be horrifying, like a jump cut, but you laugh. And then they do the same jump scare a few more times in the movie to the point that it becomes comedic. He sees the ghost or whatever of the girl on a boat that he's on, and the ghost gets hit by the train too. And you're just going, that's not scary. That's funny, so seeing a ghost get hit by a train.
Because now it doesn't matter. Like, it's just, there's so much in this film that doesn't make sense. And what's so funny is there's so few Nicolas Cage movies that we've talked about. Like, I almost put Drive Angry on this list.
No, that's a masterpiece.
It is, because it is a masterpiece.
That's a self-aware, fun movie.
It's so bad though. But like, yeah, like this is like, what's so funny is I thought that this was, for the longest time, that this was an M. Night Shyamalan movie. That like, he directed it and stuff like that. But like, I think he only produced or something like that. It was like he's involved, but like barely at all. Just, it's kind of like Michael Bay being involved with certain movies. It's like, oh, well, he produced it, but it's not him directing it. So it's not.
Yeah.
But like, oh, this is one of those that you have to get the director's cut, which is hilarious that is a thing that exists.
The unrated cut is where he says not the bees.
Yes, the unrated cut. Watch that with a group of friends. You don't even have to be drunk or high or anything. Like, this is just a good time of absolute ridiculousness. The whole scene of him questioning the teacher in the schoolhouse in front of the students is absolutely ridiculous. Like, there's just, I don't understand.
The scene of him being attacked by the bees, not the bees, is legendary.
Yeah.
But if that's all you've seen of the Wicker Man, you're still missing so much that else that just questions reality. You have your quote-unquote main villain that's dressed like Lady Galadriel from Lord of the Rings if she cosplayed as William Wallace from Braveheart. Or, like Josh's favorite part of the whole movie, Nicolas Cage dressed as a bear punching someone in the face and then running off with a child. Like, saying the words coming out of my mouth right now.
Even in context, the scene doesn't make sense, and it's so abrupt and out of nowhere, and there's no context given into why or when he got in a bear suit. But
and I'm trying to remember, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I don't think there's any, like, background music or anything either, so it's just a super awkward, like, it's not like he comes out of nowhere. He literally just spends a couple seconds just running up this hill at full speed as a bear just to sucker punch this person, and you're just going...
She just stares at him the whole time. Like, she sees him coming. I'm gonna die laughing at this because it's so funny to me because I see it in my head all the time. She like stares at him as he's running up this hill, and like there's she makes no like indication that she has no idea what's going on. She just stares like, oh, that's a running bear at me. That's normal. And then like, what is...
But not on all fours, on two legs like a regular person. It's a man-bear pig, basically.
I can't.
It's just, there's so many questions that I have about this movie, but I don't want them answered just because it's so like The Room of just, how did this go so wrong? Who said this is okay? This is one of our favorite 5 good things of just going, we love this movie, but for not the right reasons for 5 good things. So trying to find positive things about this is going to be tricky because the cinematography is pretty competent and the music's pretty good. And there is some creepy imagery that if it was done properly could have been actually scary, but it's only because people open their mouths is when the issue started arising because the dialogue is bad, like how to get burned. Or, here, let me answer your question with a completely unrelated vague answer like, where's Willow? Where any of us go when we are needed. Going,
what?
What? Or like, is this red or blue? What is color? Color is subjective. That type of stuff is everywhere in The Wicker Man. You're just going, I have so many questions right now, and you're not going to answer any of them.
But I think, like, the dialogue, like, because it is that way, I think that's why I thought this was an M. Night Shyamalan movie, because that sounds like something he'd put in the movie that would, like, and then not explain anything. Like, it, yeah. Good stuff.
Good soup.
Good soup. I'm so glad that I've gotten you saying that now. Yeah.
I only really say it when you're around, because it's one of Josh's phrases. So,
it is good soup.
I enjoy watching bad movies with people because it's just fun, because we will never disparage the people that make these bad movies, because making movies is a hard thing. Mm-hmm. I think watching bad movies, if anything, is a beneficial thing because it makes you appreciate the talent and skills that go into making good movies. Like, after we started 5 Good Things, we're like, I appreciate certain things more, and I can appreciate certain elements to movies more. So I enjoy watching bad movies, but it's got to be in a group setting. You can't make me watch bad movies by myself. Like, I know she doesn't like it as much, but I will not watch The Wicker Man or The Room without Heather just because we need to watch them, experience them together, because she'll point out things in The Room that don't make sense that I miss. Like, Heather's the one that pointed out to me that The Room is most likely called The Room because almost all of it takes place in one room. I'm going,
whoa.
Good job, Heather! Maybe it was originally...
I didn't even notice that. That's crazy.
I'm like, maybe it was originally intended as a play instead. That would have made a whole lot more sense. But I like bad movies because they make me appreciate the good ones all the more. Well, what do you guys think? What are some of your favorite, like, so bad that you just enjoy how bad or stupid they get? Let us know. We always like hearing from you guys. And as always, if you like what you hear and you want to hear more, subscribe to us on whatever audio platform you're listening to. It's on, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or YouTube. Check out the new shirt design that's up now. And as always, stay sharp, movie guys and gals.